Today, we're going to go over some of the most bizarre and weirdest alien encounters of all time. Thousands of people from all over the world claim that they have come face to face with extraterrestrial beings, and some of these encounters are so bizarre that it seems that it came right out of a Hollywood movie. But the witnesses still insist to this very day that what they experienced was real, and their lives have never been the same since. In the 1970s, 6 kids were having a great time playing in a heavily forested area when all of a sudden they saw a tiny UFO. This UFO was less than a meter across. This tiny flying object landed right where these kids were playing. The kids couldn't believe what they were seeing. They were in awe as they were watching these 3 to 5 inch tall humanoids come out of this tiny craft. The kids said that there were 6 beings in total. 5 of these tiny beings were wearing very bright blue outfits, and the other one was wearing a yellow outfit and also had an awesome spiked helmet. These tiny aliens were installing some sort of device on a nearby tree. The kids were fascinated with these tiny aliens, and they were not afraid at all. The kids actually tried to capture them. But these little aliens possessed some sort of alien weapons, and they started shooting at these kids. The kids ran away as fast as they could. When they finally reached civilization, they told everybody what happened to them. And of course, no one believed them. Now, this bizarre encounter happened in Malaysia. And what's really odd is between 1970 and 1979, people from all over Malaysia started to come forward saying that they too had come face to face with these 3 to 5 inch tall alien beings. And some of these witnesses do seem to be very credible. The United Kingdom's Ministry of Defense released hundreds of case files regarding possible alien encounters or alien abductions. Some of these reports are extremely interesting. It just goes to show how many people really believe that they have come face to face with extraterrestrial beings. Within these documents, there were some very odd and very bizarre alleged alien encounters, but this one takes the cake. A man in Wales told the authorities that he and his friends were on a camping trip when out of nowhere, a fleet of UFOs started flying over their campsite. Now, instead of abducting the campers, the UFOs started beaming up their cars, their tents, and even their cat and their dog. The witnesses were terrified, but they were thankful that they were spared. September 27th, 1989. Right after the Berlin Wall came down, some Russian kids within that area were playing soccer when all of a sudden they witnessed a very odd red disc that landed very close to them. The kids said that a huge 9-foot tall, 3-eyed creature came out of this craft. This huge alien had a very bizarre weapon and shot one of the kids. The kid disintegrated right before their very eyes. Then the alien returned to its craft and flew away. Later that day, the boy reappeared unharmed. Now, of course, this sounds like a bunch of lies that children would tell, and it probably is. But the interesting thing is, during that time in that very location, there were tons of UFO sightings being reported. In 1954, a man named Gustavus Gonzalez and his friend Jose were driving along a quiet road in Venezuela, when all of a sudden they saw a huge, luminescent sphere type of craft blocking the road. Now, instead of being scared or curious, they were pissed that this huge, extraterrestrial craft was blocking the road. So Gonzalez and Jose got out to see what the heck was going on. Then, a hatch opened up and 3 very short and very hairy humanoids came out. Gonzalez started screaming at these creatures, telling them to get off the road. Then these creatures started to attack Gonzalez. Gonzalez, a very brave man, ended up getting into a fist fight with these aliens. Gonzalez later stated that these aliens were very light, but extremely powerful. Basically, Gonzalez got his ass kicked. But Gonzalez scared the aliens enough for them to get back in their craft and fly away. After this out-of-this-world encounter, they called the police. And the shocking thing about the story is, another officer pulled up and said that he saw the whole thing, but he was too afraid to intervene. On December 6, 1978, a security guard named Pierre from Italy was doing his rounds when he saw 4 very odd-looking lights coming towards him. Pierre, a very dedicated security guard, approached these mysterious lights with his pistol drawn. As Pierre got closer, he started to see 3 9-foot-tall reptilian creatures. These reptilian creatures also had very odd spiked heads. Pierre was frozen in fear. Then these beings hit Pierre with some sort of heat beam, and Pierre sprinted away as fast as he could. A couple hours later, another security guard found Pierre hiding. Pierre wasn't making any sense. He was terrified. When the authorities started to investigate, they did find some very large and very unusual footprints, and these footprints were 20 inches long. The investigators also uncovered that some of the trees within that area were torched, which indicated to the authorities that something very bizarre must have happened here, and maybe Pierre wasn't as crazy as they thought. Over the years, Pierre claims that these reptilians have abducted him 5 times. Pierre is 100% convinced that his encounters with these reptilians are real, and no one can convince him otherwise, making this a very bizarre and very famous case in Italy, and also the world. This is one of my favorite alleged alien encounters of all time. It's just so odd. A man named Joe told the authorities and the world that a spaceship landed near his home. Joe said that some Italian-looking aliens came out of this craft. The Italian-looking aliens set up a grill and started to cook pancakes. Joe said that he wasn't scared at all, and he walked over there. The aliens looked at Joe and they asked him to fill a jug of water for them, and Joe agreed. And when Joe came back, he asked if he could have some of their pancakes, and the aliens agreed. Joe decided to hide some of this food so that way he had proof of this encounter. When the aliens left, Joe told everybody about this encounter, and the story of Joe and the Italian pancake-eating aliens started to get very famous, and Joe was getting bombarded by reporters. Sadly, a lot of people started making fun of poor old Joe. Joe even had the food he had analyzed, and the results came back as nothing more than regular pancakes. Now, some people do believe that Joe came face to face with extraterrestrials, but most believe that Joe is 100% nuts, making us wonder how far the human psyche can really go. Until next time, this is Paranormal Junkie. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned.